Hi everybody, welcome to the SpeedX String Art Workshop. My name is Julie Fraser and I am from the Painted House, Dubai. I do hope you'll enjoy this workshop and learn some great new skills while doing it. Let's get started. What you're going to need for your masterpiece is some really good nails, a ball of string, a sturdy hammer, your board and your template, all of which would have been provided with your goodie bag. For now, leave the template to one side. What we're going to do is we are going to create the frame by nailing in the nails around the edge of the board about 1 centimeter apart between each one. So I will start by showing you. So just start maybe about 2 millimeters. Try and hammer your nails in straight. If not, don't panic too much, you can bend them. And then your next one will be, a good judge is basically a finger width apart, that's pretty good. And then just try and keep them in line if you can. If you're having a problem lining them up, just take a ruler and draw a line there if your eye is not as good as mine. And then just keep going until you finish basically your whole frame. Once you've done one whole edge, just have a look at your nails and just make sure that they're all more or less in line and more or less the same height. Get to your corner one and then start your next row along here. Just be very cautious when you are hammering quite close to the edge that you don't hammer too hard and that your nail pops out of the side of your MD. If you take your time and do this part carefully, you will see at the end that it's worth putting a little bit of extra time and effort into it to create a really good pattern and finish. Also, very importantly, don't hammer your nails too low. Firstly, we need to have a bit of height here to be able to wind our yarn around. And second of all, you don't want to go through the board. The board is probably only about, I would say, just over 0.5 centimeter wide. So you want to keep your nail head quite high up rather than bash it through. And there it is completed. We now have our full frame. Now the next step is to take our template and put our template in between. So what you really need to do is line it up. If it's too big, as you can see mine is a little bit too wide here, just fold your edges over like that. And you'll be able to see. Just going to line up nicely. Basically what you want to do is get it into the center, or if you prefer, bring it to the bottom. I quite like the idea of maybe putting it a little bit lower so that you've got a bit more room at the top. As you can see, I've followed the lines and I've managed to put all of my nails into the pattern by following the template. Now we are going to very carefully remove the paper. So what I would suggest is just to tear your pieces away very, very cautiously. Okay, once all your paper has been removed, if you're left with little pieces like this one here, just take a pair of tweezers and gently remove the bits of paper. They won't really be seen, but if it bugs you, just remove bits. There we go. And now we start with our next step, which is our yarn. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie a small knot, just something very simple, around your first nail, and make sure that it's very, very securely tied. Okay, you can cut that off later. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go around the edges and just create a line all around, almost like a frame. Okay, can you see that? And this will continue. Probably better to keep your yarn on the right so that you're not working across your nails. You don't have to pull this very tight, but you do keep a certain amount of tension between each nail. And I find that using my finger just to hold it down, you can see it is quite awkward. Hold it down like that. And just keep going until you go around your whole frame. I like to just make them even. Just pull it gently to the top so that it's all more or less in the same line. And then continue with your next section. As I'm working along, I'm noticing that these nails are a little bit higher than the others. So I'm just going to bang those in to make sure that they're more in line. And you can do the same. If you find that there's some that are not the same height, then just nail them in a bit further. Really very simple. Not really even a knot at this point, as we're just making a frame. Right, we've now come to where we started. Just make sure all of your yarn is at the similar height. So now I'm going to go, I'm not going to worry to even tie that off. I'm now going to take this and I'm going to start putting a frame or a line around my tree. So I'm basically going to just take this to the nearest nail that I can see, and I'm going to start my line around there as well. You can tie this off if you wish to. I don't really do that. It's just time consuming and you don't really need to. And then I'm basically, as I'm going around, I'm just tying or creating a type of a frame, or a line if you want to call it that, which will be around the edge of the tree or the outline of your tree. In these very fine areas which require quite a bit of detailing, it does help if you hold your yarn down a little bit like that. It just gives you a little bit of extra leverage. So hold it with your hand, with your finger, and then twist. And then as you pull it, obviously it'll become tighter and will fit around the nail. Keep moving your yarn up to the top. If you find you're getting a little bit lost in terms of the design, because it does get quite complex, then just have a look at your original printout, and it'll give you a bit of guidance. Now we're going to go up the trunk and around there. This basically, as you can see, this has formed our root system, and this is now going to go up the trunk. If you've made a mistake, don't panic too much, because all you need to do is just backtrack a little bit, remove where you've gone wrong, and then just redo it. It's really very, very easy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from here, I'm going to go to my middle section, which is going to be the branches or the gaps in the branches of the tree. So again, I'm taking a line right across. You don't have to, you can tie your string off there. In fact, maybe I'll just do that, just to make life a little. So I've tied that bit off there. Now we're going to focus on these here. So again, I make a little knot. And start here. And I'm just going to go around the edges. I've done those 3 sections, and I'm now moving across here. Don't worry about your joining lines, or these lines that look like they're joining, because once we finish the pattern, you will see that it will blend in with the rest of it. The most important thing is that we leave these areas open, which will give us the shape of the branches. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do our central section, which is the branches of the tree. So we're going to fill out this area here, and so what we're going to do in the center is actually do the same thing. We're going to make a border, and then we're going to do the inside bits. So let's start. Right, I've basically got my border done of my first thing. Again, go along the outside. And now we're going to go across. Just randomly go across. To create a pattern. You can't really go wrong. Now we're going to move to the next section. So I'm going to go across and then here. We're going to go around the outside of this section. You can see that there, and then I'm going to start working my way across. Oops. We're then going to go on to the next section, which is here. and we will follow our way around that section too. And now I'm going to go work my way across here. If you're finding that your yarn is slipping off your nails, just gently push it down slightly, just to give yourself a bit of space. This sometimes happens when you're working in a very small area like this. And we're going to move on to the final section, which is this small section here in the middle. And again, just work your way randomly. There's no sort of right or wrong way to do it. You just work your way around so that you build up a little bit of texture across the branches. There we have it. Now we can tie off a knot here. And there it is. Now we're going to work on the section around the outside. And then start working your way in to the center. We are not going to do any work on here. We're only going to work on the outside of your tree. Be careful not to cross over, as I was just about to do there. That is going to be an open space and you cannot go over that. So what I would prefer to do is do something like that. You make a knot there and then go here and then maybe take it across to there. And you just work your way around. Okay, that might happen. So in a case like that, I would cut that off. And just knot my piece there. So make a knot. And then start a new piece with a new knot. If you're a very neat person and you want to do this in a very neat way and not a random way like this, you can certainly do that and just do something along the lines of this, where you could make it look quite neat like that. So then it would just all be at an angle. But I find this works quite well because anyone can do it and it doesn't require any sort of major concentration. You just do it randomly as you feel like it, and it actually works out rather well. And it gives a lovely loose sort of finish, which is what we're looking for. I find I sort of like to go back over my previous lines or the previous strings and just kind of fill up, like there's a gap there, and I'd like to fill that sort of gap up. That look to me looks quite obvious. So I just go back somehow and try and fill it in. This one's determined to stay empty, it would seem. Okay. And there we go. Voila, it's gone. So You can make it as busy or as calm as you wish. It's entirely up to you. And make it as creative as you wish. Just keep on going. So you can see the basic shape coming out, and the more that we work on it, the more dense this section gets and the more this will stand out. So it's up to you. Some people like a more sparse kind of feel, which looks a bit more minimal, or if you want to carry on, you just keep going as I'm doing and continue to add as you need it. And then again, as I say, just go back. Here's a little hole, so I'm going to try and get rid of that by going across somewhere. Maybe come back here, maybe go across here, and then end up here somewhere. Just depends on how you feel. As I say, there really is no right or wrong. It's just entirely random. Again, when you come here, you don't want to cross over. Be very careful that you don't bring your string across your existing frame. So basically this would be your line. So you've got to have a look and make sure that you don't go over this. So what I would do here is just something like that. And then that solves the problem. And then I'm going to go back in here and do something like that, and then I can take it from here I hope you enjoyed this video, and good luck with your project. Thank you.